ADHD, exercise, and focus.
I want to tell a brief anecdote about how ADHD might make an impact on a child's life and focus. Yeah, that's me. Unfortunately, I do not have a picture of this incident, but I feel that it best encapsulates the modern struggles of hyperactivity. I was in 7th grade and I was given the task of making pumpkin muffins for the entire class, as is Thanksgiving tradition. We were equipped with a kitchen at my school, so the process could be monitored, albeit loosely, by a teacher. I was not gifted with the highest level of focus at this age, and because of this, I neglected to add the flour to the muffin mix. For some reason, I abandoned all attempts to salvage the rock-hard muffins once I realized the error of my ways. Instead, I discovered that the pan spray turned my Power Ranger sneakers into skates on the tile floor. 5 minutes later, I was called home by my teacher for reportedly starting a game of slip and slide in the kitchen and burning the muffins. Joking stories aside, ADHD leaves a burden on many children and can seriously affect their academic and personal lives. In this presentation, we hope to give a few examples of ways ADHD has been addressed and how it can be managed, and show that exercise is a promising way of reducing its negative effects.
Before we get into the research we looked at, we're going to give you some background information on ADHD and why it's important to study. The CDC reports that 11% of children have been diagnosed with ADHD since 2011. This is not some obscure and rare occurrence. It directly affects many people you likely know and love. ADHD can place a significant financial burden on parents and family. We looked at one study about ADHD and test scores by Daly et al., where his group found that children with ADHD are more likely to use remedial academic services and be placed in special education classes. They were also more likely to experience behavioral problems that lead to suspension or expulsion, like Cam's muffin story. Another study by Feldman et al. Showed ADHD associated with poor grades, poor post-secondary and high school graduation rates. These studies show the persistent and powerful effect of how ADHD can impact future life, so many researchers are seeking the solution to how these children can be treated effectively. Before we move on, it's important you understand what ADHD is. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, or ADHD, is a problem caused by the presence of one or more of these findings: not being able to focus, being overactive, or not being able to control behavior or executive functions based on the most current DSM. Now let's take a look at treatment options. What sorts of methods are there to combat ADHD? A study by Choi et al. Examined the effects of pharmacological treatment and exercise versus pharmacological treatment plus educational therapy to see effects of the combination of both exercise and drug treatment on ADHD. The results found that exercise plus drugs was effective in increasing cognition. Drug therapy can be seen as very effective treatment, but exercise can also enhance that therapy and does not have the negative side effects like dependency and withdrawal. Treatments include amphetamines and other stimulant drugs that boost neurotransmitters.
One promising study that focuses on exercise as a treatment for ADHD is the measurement of the effect of physical exercise on the concentration of individuals with ADHD. Dr. Silva and his colleagues focused on this method in a particularly fascinating way. They wanted to explore the effect that exercise had on focus in children with ADHD, and they did this by having the children play a video game to measure their focus levels. Let me dive a little bit more into the methods. Firstly, they isolated 72 individuals between the ages of 10 and 16 and broke them up into two groups: ADHD-afflicted individuals and control individuals who did not have ADHD. Within these two groups, they split it once into two individual groups who received the exercise treatment and individuals who did not. Dr. Silva was really interested in creating a trial experiment that would maximize the enjoyment for the test subjects because he felt that this was the most realistic way to produce a feasible treatment with exercise. If the children found the treatment fun, they would be more likely to take part in it outside of the research setting and hopefully create a lasting impact in the test subjects. Because of this, his team designed a relay race where children were given bags and told to collect as many balloons as possible by placing them in the bag. They were let loose into a basketball court and given 5 minutes to collect as many balloons as they could. All groups then participated in a game designed by the researchers called Raiders of the Lost Treasure, where the time to complete the game was measured and compared to a basal time that they had measured before the exercise. So what did they find? I'm going to build the graph starting with the axes and add each line that represents the four groups: ADHD with exercise, ADHD without exercise, non-ADHD kids that received the exercise treatment, and non-ADHD kids who did receive the exercise treatment. We're going to label the y-axis as how many virtual tasks in the video game the individuals did in each group. More tasks meant more complex thinking and higher concentration. Let's also label the x-axis as time to show how long that number of tasks took. The shorter the time, the greater the concentration level. The green line represents the ADHD kids who received the exercise treatment previous to completing the video game to measure their concentration levels. The yellow line shows the results of the children without ADHD who did not receive the exercise treatment. The blue line shows the children who did have ADHD but did not receive the exercise treatment. And the red line represents the children without ADHD that did receive the exercise treatment. The graph clearly shows that the exercise group with ADHD could complete the same number of tasks significantly faster than their non-exercise comparisons, as well as complete tasks faster than non-ADHD groups. Interestingly, the kids without ADHD did receive the exercise treatment performed the slowest out of the four groups. Based on the researchers' assessment, they concluded that the exercise had a positive effect on increasing concentration levels in the study subjects. So why is this important? Dr. Silva and his colleagues stressed that fun physical interventions such as the balloon collecting game and the video game can have a significant impact on symptoms of inattention, hyperactivity, and compulsivity. Exercise has been known to help reduce the symptoms of ADHD, but this study shows that treatment can be fun and exciting for the participants. Silva was able to substantiate the evidence that ADHD can be alleviated with exercise, but his team also showed that it can be fun for the kids as well. This implication opens up huge potential for different interventions that the children can enjoy and benefit from at the same time.
Another study we looked at used a trial-by-trial analysis to reveal more intense physical activity is associated with better cognitive control performance in attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Why are these results important? Well, this study shows the correlation between activity and cognitive performance in ADHD kids, where the correlation is not present in typically developing kids. Let's take a look at the methods. Ages 10 to 17 were tested. A typical development control group was compared to the ADHD group, all of whom went through intelligence testing ahead of time. Participants were measured for movement as well as cognitive response. Movement was measured with ankle monitors, and cognitive response with the device in an activity where the participants gave their answers using the device. It measured response time and accuracy. The cognitive test asked participants to identify the orientation of a central symbol on a monitor, ignoring flanking symbols on either side. Participants had to identify the orientation of the central symbol while ignoring flanking symbols and indicate their answer by pressing a corresponding button to the hand shown, left or right. Participants are instructed to respond with a button press in either hand corresponding with the direction of the central arrowhead in the flanker stimuli. The goal here, as I said, is speed and accuracy. Intensity of movement, or PIM, and speed of movement, or ZCM, were recorded for each participant using the ankle monitor. So these are a couple examples of what this might have looked like. Let's check out the results. Based on rigor of the movement, the ability to identify the central orientation increased. No significant differences between the groups were due to age, IQ, or gender. Much higher PIM, or intensity, is associated with correct trials than incorrect trials, while no significant correlation was found with the control group. The results show there is no significant way to predict ZCM or speed. It is possible that physical activity can be used to self-regulate alertness in ADHD kids. Exercise, therefore, should be an important part of daily activity in children, especially those with ADHD. And as I said, the importance here is that these results indicate that kids could self-regulate their ADHD and cognitive performance with exercise in addition to medication.
Results from just a few studies have shown how beneficial exercise can be on improving the focus of individuals with ADHD. The obvious implication for this is in the classroom setting, but it is not hard to imagine where increased focus and decreased hyperactivity can benefit a child growing up. They would perform better in sports, they would find it easier to make friends and foster better relationships with their parents. Helping reduce the symptoms of ADHD with exercise and ultimately increasing focus levels could benefit an individual for the rest of their life.